I sat at my modest desk outside the executive offices, quietly taking notes while my brother Alexander and his cronies plotted inside. Through the glass doors, I could see them lounging in leather chairs, drinking 18-year-old scotch at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. "That secretary of yours," drawled James Porter, Alex's Harvard roommate turned corporate raider. "She's always lurking around. Are you sure she can be trusted?" Alex laughed, not bothering to lower his voice. "Madison, she's just a secretary. Couldn't get into business school, so Dad stuck her in the typing pool. She's harmless." If only they knew that every conversation, every scheme, every illegal plan they hatched was being carefully documented by the woman they dismissed as just a secretary. The woman who actually owned controlling interest in Harrison Global. "My name is Madison Harrison, though the shareholders know me only as MJ Harrison. The mysterious heir who inherited 51% of my father's company, the same company my brother was now plotting to steal. It started 3 years ago, when Dad died unexpectedly. Alex and I were both summoned to the lawyer's office for the reading of the will. My brother showed up in his usual bespoke suit, reeking of entitlement and expensive cologne. "Let's make this quick," he said, checking his Rolex. "I have a golf game at 3. Mr. Chen, Dad's longtime lawyer, adjusted his glasses. "Very well. To my son Alexander, I leave 20% of Harrison Global shares, his current position as vice president, and his trust fund." Alex's smug smile faltered. 20%? There must be some mistake. I'm the one who's been running the company. Mr. Chen continued as if he hadn't heard. "To my daughter Madison, I leave 51% of Harrison Global shares to be held anonymously through the MJ Harrison Trust." The silence was deafening. Then Alex exploded. "This is ridiculous. She's not even in business. She failed to get into Wharton, for God's sake." I kept my face carefully neutral, though inside I was smiling. What Alex didn't know was that I'd never actually applied to Wharton. That had been Dad's idea, a cover story while I completed my MBA at Stanford under a different name. Dad had seen what I saw. Alex's management of Harrison Global consisted mainly of taking clients to strip clubs and making risky deals to impress his fraternity brothers. The company was heading for disaster. "There's more," Mr. Chen said. "Madison will assume a position within the company to observe its operations firsthand. Her role and identity as majority shareholder will remain confidential until she chooses to reveal it." And that's how I became my brother's secretary. The perfect cover, who pays attention to the quiet woman taking notes in the corner, who suspects that the person fetching coffee actually owns the company. For 3 years, I watched and learned. Every time Alex charged personal expenses to the company, I documented it. Every time he made deals that benefited his friends at the shareholders' expense, I recorded it. Every time he harassed female employees, believing his position made him untouchable, I added it to my files. I worked late into the night, reviewing reports, analyzing financials, and quietly directing the board through carefully worded memos from MJ Harrison. While Alex played executive, I was actually running the company. "Madison." Alex's voice interrupted my thoughts. "Get in here." I grabbed my notebook and entered his office, the picture of secretarial efficiency. "Yes, Mr. Harrison. We need the Jensen merger documents by tomorrow morning. Stay late and get them done." He didn't even look up from his phone. "Of course, sir." I made a note, knowing full well that the Jensen merger was just a cover for his latest scheme. He planned to sell off the company's most valuable assets to a shell corporation owned by his friends, then buy them back at a fraction of their worth. What he didn't know was that tomorrow's board meeting would change everything. "Oh, and Madison." He finally looked up, his smile condescending. "Try not to screw that this time. We all know numbers aren't your strong suit." James Porter snickered. I fought the urge to tell him that I graduated summa cum laude from Stanford Business School, or that I'd grown Harrison Global's profits by 40% through my anonymous leadership. Instead, I just nodded meekly and returned to my desk. Later that evening, after Alex and his friends had left for their usual 3-hour lunch that turned into drinks, I sat in my real office, a hidden room accessed through the building's old maintenance corridors. Here, surrounded by monitors and files, I did the actual work of running Harrison Global. My phone buzzed. A message from Mr. Chen. "Everything's ready for tomorrow. Are you sure about this?" I looked at the photo on my desk. the only personal item in this secret space. It showed Dad and me at my Stanford graduation. Both of us smiling at our shared secret. Keep an eye on your brother, he told me. Give him enough rope to either learn responsibility or hang himself. Then do what needs to be done. Well, Alex had made his choice. Tomorrow, the board would learn that their supposedly incompetent secretary was actually the majority shareholder who had been steering the company to record profits. They'd see evidence of Alex's schemes, his mismanagement, his abuse of power. I typed back to Mr. Chen. Yes, it's time. That night, I stayed late as ordered, but not to prepare merger documents. Instead, I finalized the presentation that would end my brother's reign of mismanagement. 3 years of evidence, all meticulously organized. As I worked, I heard Alex return from drinks. He stumbled past my desk, stopped, and turned back. Still here, Maddie. Such a dedicated little secretary. His words slurred slightly. You know, that's all you'll ever be. Some people are born to lead, others to take notes. Know your place. I smiled, thinking of the boardroom tomorrow. Oh, I know my place, Alex, and tomorrow you'll know yours. He blinked, confused by my tone, and shrugged it off and continued to his office. In less than 24 hours, his world would collapse, and a secretary he dismissed would finally step into the light. I looked down at the Jensen merger documents he demanded, blank papers that would never be filled out. Tomorrow, Madison the secretary would disappear, and MJ Harrison would finally take her rightful place at the head of the company. Some people are born to lead, I whispered, echoing his words. You just never realize which one of us it was. The morning of the board meeting dawned clear and bright. I arrived early, dressed not in my usual conservative secretary attire, but in a perfectly tailored channel suit I'd been saving for this moment. My comfortable typing chair had been replaced by an elegant leather executive chair at the head of the boardroom table. I was reviewing my presentation one final time when Alex burst in, his face red with fury. Madison, where are the Jensen documents, and what the hell are you doing sitting there? The documents aren't ready, I said calmly, not looking up. And I'm sitting exactly where I belong. Have you lost your mind? Get out of that chair before the board arrives. And what are you wearing? You look like you're playing dress up in mom's clothes. I finally met his gaze. No, Alex. For the first time in 3 years, I'm not playing anything. The board members began filing in. Their confusion at seeing me in the chairman's seat quickly turned to shocked whispers. James Porter nearly choked on his coffee. What is this, some kind of joke? He demanded. Someone call security. That won't be necessary, Mr. Chen said, entering with a thick folder. Ms. Harrison has every right to be here. In fact, she called this meeting. Alex grabbed my arm. I don't know what game you're playing, but it ends now. Get back to your desk. I pulled free of his grip. Touch me again, and you'll be facing assault charges on top of everything else. Everything else? His face paled slightly. Ladies and gentlemen of the board, I began standing. For the past 3 years, you've known me as Madison Harrison, Executive Secretary. But my full title is Madison Jane Harrison, MJ Harrison, majority shareholder of Harrison Global. The room erupted in chaos. Alex staggered back as if I'd struck him. Impossible, he whispered. MJ Harrison is standing right in front of you. I finished. While you were playing executive, I was actually running this company. Every decision credited to MJ Harrison over the past 3 years. The Asian expansion, the tech division restructuring, the profit increase, that was all me. I clicked a button, and screens descended from the ceiling. But that's not why I called this meeting. We're here to discuss the Jensen merger, or rather, the fraud you and your friends were planning to commit. The screens filled with documentation, emails, financial records, recorded conversations. Alex's face went from red to white as his scheme was exposed in devastating detail. You've been spying on me, he sputtered. Observing, I corrected. Did you really think Dad would leave the company's future in your hands? He saw what you were, an entitled child playing with other people's money. That's why he put me here, to watch and protect what he spent his life building. James Porter stood up, straightening his tie. This is absurd. You can't prove. Actually, she can, Mr. Chen interrupted, distributing folders to the board members. Everything is thoroughly documented. The shell companies you created, the planned asset stripping, the kickbacks, all of it. You were never just a secretary, Alex said slowly, realization dawning. The Stanford MBA rumors weren't rumors. I graduated top of my class while you were failing out of business courses at Harvard. Dad knew exactly what he was doing when he made me majority shareholder. The board members were flipping through the folders, their expressions growing increasingly grave. There's more, I continued. Alex's personal expenses charged to the company, sexual harassment complaints buried by his friends in HR, client accounts lost due to his behavior. It's all there. You've been building a case against me for 3 years, Alex said, his voice hollow. You built the case yourself. I just documented it. I turned to the board. I moved for the immediate termination of Alexander Harrison and James Porter from all positions within Harrison Global, effective immediately. The vote was unanimous. You can't do this, Alex whispered. I'm your brother. You never treated me like a sister, I replied. From the day I started here, I was just the secretary to you. Someone to mock, to demean, to order around. Did you ever once ask my opinion on a business matter? Ever consider that I might have something valuable to contribute? He had no answer. Security will escort you out, I continued. Your office will be cleared by the end of the day, and Alex, the next time you see just a secretary, remember this moment. As he was led out, still protesting, I turned to address the remaining board members. Now, shall we discuss Harrison Global's future? I have some ideas about modernizing our operations. The meeting lasted hours. By the end, even the most skeptical board members were convinced. The quiet secretary they'd overlooked had a vision for the company that went far beyond anything Alex had proposed. That evening, I sat in my father's old office, my office now, looking at his picture on the wall. You knew, didn't you? I said softly. You knew Alex would never change as long as everything was handed to him. A knock at the door interrupted my thoughts. It was Mrs. Reynolds, my father's former secretary, now mine. Miss Harrison, your brother is in the lobby. He's quite insistent about seeing you. I considered sending him away, but then I remembered something Dad used to say. True leadership isn't about revenge. It's about growth. Yours and theirs. Send him up. Alex entered hesitantly, his usual swagger gone. He looked smaller somehow, without his executive title and corner office. I've been thinking, he said, not meeting my eyes. About how I treated you, how I treated everyone. Good. That's a start. I want to learn, really learn, not just pretend. He finally looked at me. Will you teach me? I studied him for a long moment. There's an opening in our Tokyo office, entry level. No special treatment, no executive privileges. You'll start at the bottom, learn every aspect of the business. If you can handle that for a year, prove you've changed, we'll talk about a more senior role. Entry level? In Tokyo? He looked like he might protest, then stopped himself. Okay, I accept. As he turned to leave, I called after him. Alex? The secretary in Tokyo? Her name is Mrs. Tanaka. She's been with the company 30 years and knows more about that office than any executive. I suggest you start by asking her advice. He nodded slowly, understanding the lesson. 1 year later, Harrison Global's profits had doubled. Our corporate culture had transformed. No more old boys club, no more harassment, no more entitlement. Success was earned, not inherited. And Alex? He surprised everyone by thriving in Tokyo. Mrs. Tanaka's weekly reports showed genuine change. He worked hard, learned Japanese, and slowly earned the respect of his colleagues. Today, a small plaque sits on my desk. It reads, Leadership isn't about titles. It's about vision, integrity, and the courage to see what others overlook. Below it sits my old secretary nameplate, a reminder that true power isn't in the position you hold, but in how you use it. Sometimes I still take notes in meetings. Old habits die hard, and good leaders never forget where they started. But now, when someone says, just a secretary, I smile, thinking of the day a quiet woman with a notebook brought down an empire of privilege and built something better in its place. After all, isn't that what secretaries do? We observe, we document, we organize, and sometimes we lead.